With President Obama's approval rating in a tailspin among Connecticut voters, there seems to be an opening, or several, to defeat incumbent members of Congress. But what if you belong to a minor party? Can it be done? With us today is Ken Krayeske of Hartford. He's the Green Party candidate for the 1st Congressional District. Ken is, of course, best known for his blog, The 40-Year Plan, among other things. You've made headlines over the years. Mr. Krayeske, good to see you back here in this program.
Thank you so much for having me back, Dennis. I appreciate it.
First of all, you're running for Congress, but you're running on the Green Party, which is, as you know, historically very difficult to get elected. Why not a Republican or a Democrat?
Because I don't feel like I have a home in the Republican or Democratic parties. I sat here and listened to Mr. Foley and Mr. Marcus go back and forth, and it feels like there's only two sides to their debate. And I feel like even when they were talking about Tom Foley's boat, there needs to be a third debate. What about the crew member on that boat? And we need to represent that crew member. I feel like there are so many areas where the Democratic and Republican parties agree on certain foreign policy issues, certain domestic policy issues, and I feel like there's a lot of people who aren't being represented, and their voices aren't being represented. I know I'm not being represented by my own congressman. I want to see free college tuition. John Larson isn't calling for free college tuition. I want to see a lot of different things in government that I don't feel are being discussed, and policy aims that we need to be looking for. And I feel like the Tea Party is an example of this populist anger. And I think the Tea Party and the Green Party, on some level, are coming from the same place in that government is broken and it needs to be fixed. We have different policy solutions, but we can agree on the fact that the two-party system is a massive failure right now.
Do you think the Tea Party might support you?
I don't know. I tend to be a little more liberal than I think that they want to acknowledge can exist. You know, when Christine O'Donnell is saying on MTV 15 years ago that, you know, sexuality is very limited to marriage in the home. I mean, if that's the kind of support that Tea Party has, you know, I support gay marriage. You know, I support the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Heck, I think that we should not only, let's be straight up, actually, let me fix that. I think that not only should gays not be allowed in the military, bi people and straight people shouldn't be allowed in the military. So I don't think the Tea Party is going to support me on a 70% budget reduction in the military. So, you know, I respect where they're coming from, but we have different policy ideas.
What is your strategy to get elected? Because, as I mentioned, it's difficult for a Green Party person. I mean, 2 years ago, Steve Fournier, the candidate in the 1st District, ran a good campaign but didn't do very well in the end. Well,
in 2006, Steve Fournier got 43 write-in votes. In 2008, Steve Fournier got 2.46% of the votes when he was on the ballot. I hope that I can quadruple that. You know, I'd love to see that I get 10% of the vote. I understand that my winning is a long shot. So my goal is to do party building, is to get the word out, and to sort of, it is a 40-year plan, to sort of use the name of my blog. Like, look, I understand that this isn't going to happen overnight, and I try and look at what we're doing in a social justice continuum. You know, last night I was in Torrington and I pulled off the highway and I saw John Brown's birthplace. You know, we're the spiritual heirs of Sojourner Truth and John Brown and Frederick Douglass, and so we have to see what we're doing in that sort of time span. It takes generations to sometimes make the social change that we want to see happen. I'm trying to have patience with it.
What would be your criticisms of Congressman John Larson? You know, you've already mentioned the college education issue. What else?
Well, I think the fundamental thing is I think John's a good guy. I think he's an American dream. He was a high school history teacher, I believe, and he rose to be the 4th most powerful congressman in the House of Representatives. That's an amazing record, and that is the American dream. I think that he has to do some explaining regarding votes, such as in 2000 he voted for the Commodity Futures Modernization Act. It's a mouthful, but essentially it repealed the Depression-era Glass-Steagall Act, which set up a firewall between banks and insurance companies. When we took that firewall down, we got credit default swaps, and we got all of the Wall Street financial engineering of mortgage-backed securities and things like that. And it's these things that brought our economy down in 2007 and 2008. And Congressman Larson in 2000 voted in favor of the bill to eliminate this securities regulation. And I think more than anything else, I want to ask Congressman Larson, why did you vote for this? Please explain. We knew what happened in the 30s when banks and insurance companies were together. We set up Glass-Steagall in order to prevent that from happening. And then President Clinton, as a parting gift to big business, tore that wall down with the Commodity Futures Modernization Act. And I feel like he needs to answer for that. He needs to answer for thousands of homes foreclosed upon. He needs to answer for a Wall Street casino that is out of control, and you know, as Matt Taibbi calls Goldman Sachs, the giant vampire squid. He needs to answer for allowing those companies to run roughshod over us.
You've been a longtime advocate of the city of Hartford and a city resident. As a congressman, what would you do to improve the city? Unemployment is high, businesses are leaving.
Well, I think the first thing that we could do to improve the city is a morale issue, and sort of I know Mayor Mike is roundly criticized for being a cheerleader, but I think that's important. But I also think that we need to advocate policies like Jeffrey Canada's Harlem Children's Zone. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's basically cradle to grave social services to eliminate poverty. And we need to take a long-term outlook at, you know, Jeffrey Canada says, all right, poverty starts in the womb. And we need to give mothers prenatal care, and we need to make sure that there's pre-Head Start. Right now, Head Start monies are being cut. We need to, and then we need to increase literacy skills through 5th grade, and then Jeffrey Canada says we need to have a Superman strategy for those kids who are over 5th grade who are falling behind. So I think if we focus on education, that's always been one of my strong points, and I think that if we look at how the Harlem Children's Zone works, we need legislation that's bigger than Head Start.
The most famous Green Party person that anyone knows is Ralph Nader. Will he campaign for you?
You know, I've got a call into Ralph. I understand that he's out on the road, and I'd like to have him campaign for him because he was central to my development as a political thinker, and some of the ideas that he came up with, to me, really changed the way that I think. And I hope that we can get him here because I think that I'd like to put him in some high schools and colleges because I really think that his message is important for young people to hear.
Ken Krayeske, the candidate for the Green Party in the 1st District. Good to see you back here again, and congratulations on graduating from law school this year.
Thank you so much.
The bar is next to come, right?
Yeah, well, I took the bar exam recently, and I'm waiting for the results, and I'm hoping that the results come out right about the time that Congressman Larson and I are supposed to debate.
Well, best of luck.